The sound of magic. That ding dong.
Yes, I like it.
Yes. I was just reflecting, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
So yesterday, I was on Zoom. Yesterday, I think so. Anyway, with Bina, and I just finished combing my hair, and I had a very rare moment of vanity, and I said to Bina, "I'm feeling quite handsome today."
Ah.
And Bina laughs.
Oh, no.
It was a nice
no.
laugh. I say, Bina, that's not the response I'm looking for. Of course, Bina was even more amused. So,
That's awesome. I
needless
like it.
to say, I didn't get the response that I want.
Oh, dear.
I noticed this. It's very interesting. So, in my comment, as always, I don't know, my brain is just, I guess, hardwired by now for multi-layeredness, right?
Right.
So, I was saying there's a bit more to it. Not that I'm now suddenly getting involved and immersed into vanity, but I have noticed as my perceptions of myself regarding self-love are changing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and you are responsible, by the way. Well,
Oh,
at least,
yeah.
yeah, I'll come to that in a moment. Just remember,
Okay.
so I said to remind you of the thing that your thing. Anyway, as my comments, my perceptions are shifting and changing because of the deliberate effort that I'm making in that regard. Um, I notice that I feel I am physically also changing, at least in my.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I thought this is very interesting. Now, it may simply be a function of perception that, actually, if I put it on the computer and say, when they do those facial recognition things, is there any differences? Yeah, it'll say, no, dude, it's all in your mind. Okay, thank you, computer. But
Right.
I truly don't think so. I truly don't think so. I mean, more beside putting on a bit of weight, but oh well. I think the chest slippage has also gotten a reverse reaction going the other way.
Oh, okay. I
Right.
like it.
Yeah, I'm not fat. My chest just slipped a bit.
I
Right.
like it. I like it.
Obelix logic. All right. So we were talking the one day, and I remembered this so exactly a few days ago. We were really discussing about self-appreciation, self-evaluation, self-recognition, all the selves.
Right.
And the point specifically was that self-appreciation, self-recognition, those are not all that difficult. And this is something I can do, not a problem, right?
Right.
But self-love, this was something different, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we got really into the difference between self-appreciation, self-evaluation, and self-recognition, etc., and self-love specifically, right? And because of that, I'm like, yeah, I've been aware of this dearth of self-love and my reluctance to tackle it as a project. And it's
Right.
like I never really saw that I needed to. And it's like, okay, self-appreciation is enough.
Right.
But consequence of our in-depth discernings, I said, no, you know what? The self-love is actually important, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I made a concerted effort to start self-loving myself. Now, this has been a long-standing project, and like all of them, you've got the um, um, exponential effect as part of it, right? So it's slow in the beginning, nothing seems to
Right.
happen. 1, 2, 4, 8, you don't have a lot of money, but keep going. At 31, you're going to have a billion.
Right.
Yeah, literally, if you start with a penny, right? I've showed you that, right? It seems
Yeah.
so incredible to me. Anyway, so now I'm starting to see the effects, right? And I told you that I have somebody who befriended me, and they have a let's just say they love me a lot. All right. So,
Right.
I'm trying to be very diplomatic here and cautious, and I don't want to give any wrong impressions or anything. But nonetheless, so I've had this deluge, truly a
Mm-hmm.
deluge of appreciation and love, and excess positivity towards me. Not that there is such a thing as excess, but relative to normal, right? Extra, I should say, extra, not excess, extra. Excess is making a line. So extra. At any rate, so Bina was teasing me, really putting the squeeze on me, saying, yeah, but you know what? Consider, this person is coming to your life. You brought them into your life.
Mm.
So Bina's holding me utterly responsible, and she's most amused at all of this, right? Cheeky winks. Anyway, so I'm like, all right, all right. I mean, she is teasing me and getting great joy and mirth out of it, but I
Right.
do feel that there is, at the same time, not do feel. I mean, at the same time, she is also quite serious about this. And I said, why and in what way? And she was really pressing me to articulate, the to articulate this occurrence in my life from an intent materialization
Right.
point of view. So I said, oh yeah, so this is helping me. This perspective on me is helping me in my self-love,
Mm-hmm.
but also it's just getting more comfortable with it. Yeah.
Right.
And that is very important. I think for me personally, my reluctance to self love is because I've always been uncomfortable with it from outside. Excessiveness. Yes. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I had instances as a young man or even as a youth where, I had some kind of excessive infatuation or connectivity or love. I mean, I remember this one at the yacht club, the sailing club. When I say yacht club now, I'm not meaning, Newport big yachts. These are dinghy sailing
Right.
yachts, right?
Right.
I think you saw a picture when I was going through my picture file of the
Mm-hmm.
little dinghies there and the yacht club itself. Right? Anyway, um, one of the families that sailed there that I kind of knew, I don't know, 13, 14, somewhere around there probably at the time, in that age more or less. And she was 7, 8, 9. I don't know. I have no idea how old the young girls are. And she would like hang onto me, onto my leg. And, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I was just the be all and every all for her. Now, there was more to the story because the family, the parents, had a younger boy who they idolized and didn't care for the girl. So she was complete, and it was so clear and obvious to me. I mean,
Yeah.
I would cringe every time they would interact as a family. I mean, it's like, dudes, are you not seeing this? And I mean, these are adult, sensible people supposed to be.
Right.
Anyway, so obviously because I gave her the time of day, she latched onto me. And I mean, she would literally hold on to my leg and I couldn't walk. It's like, hello, girl, come on now.
Wow.
Yeah. So, uh, and stuff like that. Like I think I told you about my friend Theo, who would grab me, right? Would walk on the sidewalk and he'd be pushing into me.
I don't
No,
remember.
maybe
Maybe.
not. Anyway, he'd walk home from school because he lived a few houses up from me.
Right.
I didn't interact with him too much, but anyway. So on the way home, though, he would walk pressing into you. So
Okay.
much so that one day, and we're walking right next to a very busy road, but there was a break in the traffic, and I just let him keep on pushing me, and we ended up on the other side of the road. And I said, Theo, do you realize what's going on here? It
Oh,
was too incredible. I mean, a literal pressure that you had to push back, not
yeah.
just somebody walking, kind of being next to
Right.
and especially for boys, to walk touching each other. It's like, man, that was just not part of the deal at all.
Right.
So he was obviously completely unaware of this. Isn't
That's
that
really
fascinating?
interesting.
So, and then there was just crushes and stuff, occasionally too, which were very uncomfortable. I mean, I remember one of my sister's friends. If she'd had this, she just wanted to kiss me, and I was 9 at the time, and I would hide under the blankets almost. I said, "Girl, if you just wait a year, but a year later I would have been thrilled, but at that time I was
Right.
horrified."
Right.
But more in a more regular way. I was very uncomfortable with any kind of infatuation that went into that worship territory.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's horrible for me. But one can't conflate this and have this be an inappropriate connectivity.
Right.
So I was telling with Bina, I said, because I have that writing tips to myself file, which I write all the writing tips in, and I'll make a course out of it someday. Not all of them are necessarily for me. Sometimes it's just thoughts that might be applicable to others who have different agendas with their
Mm-hmm.
writing. But if you are going to publish your writing and you do want somebody to read it, you sure as hell have to have self-love.
Yeah.
This is absolutely critical, essential. Now I'm leaving out the middle steps. I'm going to work it backwards now. Why do you have to have self-love to be a successful writer? And I don't mean successful as in bestseller, just successful in finding your audience.
Mm.
Because of cueing and the inherent magic of energy being communicated and transmitted
Mm-hmm.
regardless of medium.
Right.
So I don't have self-love, my readers are going to pick up on this. And they say, well, if you think your stuff, you don't think that you've got value here, well, why should I?
Right.
And conversely, when authors truly believe they have something special, regardless of the writing, it comes through. J.K. Rowling's first book, right?
Right.
I
Right.
think by our own admission, it's poorly written. Yes, if
I
I'm not
think
mistaken.
so. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's acknowledged all this, right? Looking back in retrospect, and I'd like to rewrite it, stuff like that. I mean, she's not uncommon in this, especially with the first book. When the writers go back, say, oh, yeah. but the point is, she believed in it, right? And a part of the belief in her story is also belief in herself. Now with J.K., it's very, very clear that self-love is not an issue for her.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, she might have self-critique and all of this and be real and all this, but self-love, never an issue.
Right.
Yes?
Right.
So, and this comes through, this community. Same with Stephen King. He's not a vain man by any means, not at all. I mean, but at the same time, he truly believes in what he says. Right? He has
Hmm.
no doubts about his own points. In terms of, I believe it. I may be wrong, but I believe it. So he's not
Right.
arrogant or egotistical, but there's self-love at the root of it, right? Appropriately so, in other words.
Right.
Right. I don't know authors that well. Stephen King. I'm not actually a Stephen King fan. I never read any of his books except for the Gunslinger
Mm.
series, right? But I have seen him on TV a little bit and so on, and he's quoted a lot. And because he's also writes on writing, he comes up in the writing groups and stuff like that. So
Hmm.
I do know him a bit more than others. Um, but this is important. This is a very, very big point. Now, of course, it's very obvious when it comes to writing. We can see how you put so much energy into it, and your intrinsic perception of yourself changes your writing,
Right. Right.
right? It's amazing. It's amazing. You can write the same stuff, but with that underlying perception, which is the mood, the energy comes
Mm.
through. So, of course, this applies to everything. Yes.
Right. Right.
So to get to your magical midnight marvelous
Mm.
magicness comment, right? The multiple M comment. um, yes, I enjoyed leaving off the I of imagine too. By the way,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I said there's something with imagine, but I said imagine instead of imagine.
I like it. I like it.
So, it's part of a series. See, so I'm getting all this external confirmation
Mm.
of appreciation and love, and your comment was just because it was at midnight and so anomalous, and I happen to be awake as
I know.
well, also
I was,
anomalous.
I was
I'm
surprised when
like,
I sent it that
hello,
it was
hello, thank
midnight.
you, universe, thank you,
Yeah.
universe, thank you, universe. So it was really, really. I mean, I your intent was absolutely. I think the universe said, "Man, no, I've got to reward this year." So it was just too fantastic. It was just
I
too
like it.
brilliant. Really, really magical. A big deal. And also, I do feel, this latest story that I've written, I feel it's kind of in a different league to the others. Yes, somebody might say, well, not really. But for me, there's a
Right.
massive difference
Right. Right.
because I'm coming at it. Well, I changed what I'm doing with the writing. Like I think I explained to you about logic and sensibility. Or was I talking to my friend Tanya? About writing, about the limitations of, for me, used to be because of who I am, because of being logical and rational. In,
Mm.
in, in other words, that I would automatically write what's rational and logical. My brain just said you can't write
Right.
things that are irrational and illogical.
Right.
Yes, write ugly and edit pretty, but not write illogically and irrationally. This just was not an option
Yeah.
until I realized that, wait a second, it all depends on your intent and it's contextual. If
Hmm.
I'm saying, and I explained this to you, I think, yes, about the birds regressing, for instance. Yeah, I think I used the example, right? Oh, oh, wow. Anyway, and, the characters come up in a clearing, and they arrived at the clearing. As they arrived, two birds regressed into the forest. What the hell does
Oh,
regressing
yes.
into?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it is about writing things that aren't, strictly speaking, logical or rational,
Right.
but
Right.
share the mood and the feeling and the atmosphere. And this is transformative for me.
Yeah.
So and now, okay, so my writing changed because of that, but also because of the inherent adoption of self-love, which is also at some level an illogical and irrational thing for me,
Mm.
right?
Right.
So
Right.
it's all conjoined. now, the compounded effect of me appreciating the writing, me enjoying it, me enjoying me, it comes through in the writing. And of course, it feeds on itself because you enjoy doing the writing.
Right.
And now it's just, you write more, you have more energy and all that. I mean, now I'm not writing to tell a story, which is just typing it out. That's kind of a chore.
Mm,
Now I'm writing to craft the story. The story's already there in my head. That's never a problem, right?
right.
So, when I think of the idea, it explodes, like just when you a fractal. Psh. So it's just always typing it out. But now I'm doing something different. When I'm typing it out, I'm also crafting the telling of the story. Whole
Hmm.
different experience. And this adds a lot. This adds a tremendous amount to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would recommend, if you do write anything, to just keep that in the back of the mind, to say, hey, if I want to share what I'm feeling, that to share it, and possibly use non-rational, non-logical, just ideas. So
Right. Right.
sometimes you can even use typos.
I like it.
Yeah, I mean, I typed brumble instead of grumble,
Right.
and so I thought, you know what, I'm actually going to leave that. So
Yeah.
what's brumble? Yeah, I wrote it down. I keep forgetting, dang nabbit. Oh, a bruised or pouty grumble.
Mm,
It was totally appropriate because it was a key who was doing this grumbling there,
I
and
like it.
so, she's not really a grumbler, but she can be a tad pouty sometimes,
Right.
but
Right.
she was a bit bruised because she was grumbling because, her sacred cows were being slaughtered. So,
Ah. Okay.
but she's honest, So, anyway, we can read the story at some time. Um, I mean, of course, there's much from it from a mourner's point of view, but also, in addition, reading this particular story is in the context of everything that I've said: self-appreciation, self-love,
Mhm.
and perspective shifting, looking at things in a layered way, and nuance, and really enjoying our mourners.
Mhm.
I mean, besides the value of the story itself, it
Right.
is a lot to it. So, just as a discernment exercise, it's very put,
Yeah.
very, very, yeah. So, very cool. Anyway, before we go any further, housekeeping. You have any more drawings to share?
Let's see. So I
I
didn't
loved your drawing, by the way. I absolutely loved that drawing.
so it's been a really interesting experience because so let's see. I'm trying to think of where this began. So I've been trying to think about things that I think things that I have enjoyed doing in the past that I maybe didn't give, I don't know the how to word what I'm trying to say. Not exactly didn't give enough consideration to, but didn't consider in a specific context, maybe. Things that
Yes.
I did for a really particular reason
Right, right,
didn't look at like
right,
a larger picture.
right.
And so,
The full context and scope of appropriate appreciation might not have been exercised.
right. So, I was thinking
Practicing.
about I have done art. I mean, I've always enjoyed art in many various different forms,
Oh, interesting.
but it's always been something that I have
Yes. Yes.
just done like as an adult. It's something I've just
Yes.
done,
Yes.
whenever the moment
Yes.
strikes or for some particular reason or whatever. And I think art has always been something that I have a very particular, I would say, a very particular lane that I've always stayed in. My natural inclination and ability in artwork typically comes in more realistic stuff. And what I've always been really good at is like copying things. So, like,
Yes. Yes.
if
Yes. I'm with
I
you.
always have loved watercolor painting. That's watercolor's always been one of my favorite mediums. And I remember as a kid in art class, I would take like a photograph or something real that, I could look directly at
Yeah. Yeah.
and then sort of do my own close interpretation of that. And that has always been my strength. That's always been what I've enjoyed
Yes.
doing. And I've never, ever, ever felt like I have been good at doing, first of all, drawing something from imagination.
Gotcha.
That never has worked for me. Um, but
Interesting.
really anything sort of cartoony or abstract,
Yeah.
that's just not, that has never been in my wheelhouse. And I remember thinking as a kid, I mean, I always loved reading as well. That was a huge thing for me. My
Yeah.
mom and I
Yeah.
would read together. And I was always fascinated by the illustrations in books. And I remember at some point as a kid thinking, oh, how cool would it be to illustrate things? And I thought, well, I would never be able to do that because I can't do the, I can't do the, well, just imagine this and, put it
Gotcha.
on paper.
Gotcha.
And
Gotcha.
so
Very,
because of
very
because of
interesting.
my
Wow.
perfection, past perfectionism and avoiding things that I wasn't good at,
Yeah.
I basically never pursued trying to get better or even attempting really to do the non-realistic type
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so this whole thing with illustration keeps coming up and like art and all this stuff keeps coming up. And I thought, okay, well, here's an interesting example of something that I've always done in this very particular way that I've really only pursued as a creative outlet in a very specific context. And it would be interesting to push myself to try something different with art and see what happens. And that's part of what I've been really kind of challenging myself to do. And what I was saying this to Joe the other day and mom, I think, is that something I've really struggled with in figuring out what I want to do with my life next is there is not, in my experience so far, there has not been a single thing that I would say that is sort of career oriented that I would say I have had a consistent level of motivation or interest in.
Yes.
Nothing, not one thing, right? And we were talking about this that I said, the whole ADHD aspect of this is a really interesting one because I think understanding how ADHD works and this sort of up and down motivation and all this different thing, that's really helping me kind of understand some of these patterns in my life. But something that I find really fascinating is that there are many, many people with ADHD or autism or similar things on that
Yeah.
spectrum
Yeah.
who are musicians, artists, they do something in the creative realm, and for them there's always been at least one thing
Yeah.
that that has maintained this level of like almost obsessive
A
interest,
singular passion.
right,
Yes.
that allowed them, everything else they struggled to maintain or focus on or they weren't interested in, but there was one thing that they were just like consistently passionate about. And because of that, they've become this incredible musician or artist or dancer or whatever. And I was sort of lamenting that, gosh, I really don't think there's anything that I can think of that has stayed
Great.
at this consistent level
Yes.
for me. And not that I haven't maintained over long term interest in things, but in the short term, there's lots of fluctuation. And so I started thinking, well, perhaps it's not that I haven't found what interests me, but it could be that because of the way I was approaching things and because of past perfectionism and pressure and different things that I was putting on myself, it's possible that my motivation has waxed and waned
Yeah.
because
Very
of
much.
the way I was approaching something. And if I just allowed myself to just be and follow whatever, interest came up, maybe I
Very important.
wouldn't, maybe this, or
Very
not
important.
that waxing and waning is a problem, but maybe there would be a level of maintenance that I could
Yes,
undertake
yes,
that would be appropriate.
yes,
So
yes.
that's
I
when I
just
started.
interrupt real quick. And
Yeah,
also, because where it begins is not necessarily where it ends.
right, right,
We assume we know where it's going to go, but we don't. So
right,
if you don't get involved, you never know. So yeah,
right. So I started thinking about art and I thought, okay, well, this is an interesting one that I have always, always found art interesting, fascinating, but I don't think I ever even considered pushing myself to do it on a regular basis.
yes,
It
yes,
just was never even a consideration for me. So I thought, okay, here's another thing
yes,
that I can kind of pull back up and try.
yes.
And because of my past inclination to stay away from particular types of art because I wasn't naturally good at it, this is a really good chance for me to sort of push myself and see how I react now to pushing through something that
Excellent,
I have struggled with. And the
excellent.
really awesome, really, really exciting thing was that uh, part of what I decided to try to challenge myself with was knowing that I have a natural strength with emulating things in
Yeah,
art. I thought, okay, let me find somebody who does draw or paint in a sort of more abstract form that I want to challenge myself to try, and
wow.
let me try emulating their style
Yeah.
and then see if I can sort of interpret based off of
Wow,
that.
wow,
So
wow,
the
wow.
artist
Very
the
cool.
artist that you showed me the picture of several weeks ago, Manka Akasha, I had found her on social media because I loved that picture so much. And I am just absolutely fascinated by her art. Her
Oh,
paintings are
brilliant.
so beautiful.
Oh,
And
brilliant.
there's so much
You have to
moreness.
remind me. I'm sorry. I remember us sharing the picture, but I can't
So
visualize
it
the
was the
picture
one
now.
that you said looked like Frauke, the girl, the yellow.
Oh, yes. Oh, the post on
So
Venus thing, and I
yes,
said, "Oh, okay,
yes.
yeah." Ah,
So
wow,
her
wow.
artwork, there is so much moreness in her paintings. She's a fascinating person. Her artwork is, I just love her art. And
I gotta
so,
pull it up on Google here now.
yeah, so if you
So spell the name, sorry.
do you have Instagram? Her Instagram page is where I've found the most of her
Oh,
art.
sure. Yeah, I have Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you go to Instagram, type in, let's see. I think she has a period in the middle. Let
I
me
can
check.
actually access Instagram on my computer.
There you go. Okay. So go to Instagram and her username. Let me know when you're ready.
Oh, let me just log in here. Yeah, it's supposed to Instagram is to do all the social media, but it's
Yes.
effort
I have
reward for
found
us.
I have found Instagram is a really interesting place, I would say specifically for artists and musicians.
Yeah, yeah,
I have
yeah.
found so many
Yeah.
really awesome
Well,
artists.
Instagram, like Miles had a lot of success from
Yeah,
that. So
yeah,
a lot of coaches find it useful too.
yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
it's it's the demographic, and look, he really made an effort to tap in and connect and appeal to the demographic
Right,
that's represented there.
right,
You know, for me, I would have to really contort myself to communicate in that vibe. So.
right.
But I think there's a platform that responds much to earnest, in-depth discernments.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just- yes, I'm ready.
Okay, it is Manka
Hmm.
underscore Kasha Kasha.
Right, right, right. Manka Kasha. Yeah. See, when I see it, my brain, it's yeah.
Yes.
Manka who draws. Yeah,
Yes.
followed
Okay.
by
And
Erica's
so
name. Yeah.
she has, I actually got, Joe bought me her book that she published recently for Christmas. And her main character that she draws, who's in virtually all of her artwork on her Instagram, is called Small Knight. And
Wow.
Small
With
Knight,
an N, not a K.
no, with a K,
Oh, with a
like
K.
knight
Oh,
in front of
oh,
her.
oh, wow,
So her
wow. Oh,
character is
brilliant.
called Small Knight, and then Small Knight's best friend is called Tiny Bear. So you see
I
in
see
most of
Tiny
her
Bear.
pictures
Yes, I see Tiny
is
Bear.
Small Knight and Tiny Bear together. And the story, her book is so interesting. So Small Knight is a
Yeah.
princess who doesn't want to be a princess. She wants to be a
Brilliant.
knight. And this is one of the first, if not the first book I've ever seen with a character who is non-binary. So there's
Brilliant.
never a mention of,
Brilliant.
there's an
Yeah, I love that.
insinuation that this
I
is a
love that.
girl who
Yeah.
wants to be more than the limitations of girl, but it's so
But
fascinating,
you could
really.
be a boy dressed in a girl's.
Right, right. And that's her character that she draws is sort of
Yeah, yeah,
androgynous. There's, you could say, well, it could be a girl, it could be a boy. It's so fascinating. And all of her paintings with Small Knight, I just love it. They are so beautiful.
yeah.
There's so much moreness to me happening
Yes,
in
yes,
her
yes.
artwork.
I
So,
did invite you to that I Love Dreaming
yes,
page.
yeah,
Yes. Okay. Good. Good. Because there are other artists there in a similar vein. Yes.
right,
Yeah.
right. So I took Monka's. She had actually posted recently. She's doing a collaboration with um, another page where she drew in a slightly different style than Small Knight. But what I love about her style, and I found some other similar artists, is the simplification, like the background. There's all this really beautiful, interesting stuff happening in the background, but the character itself is a really simple character. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I love, like, if you look at Small Knight's feet,
Yeah.
they're just these little blobs.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
not
Yeah. Yeah.
perfect,
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
not super detailed. It's just this very simple
Yeah.
shape. And
I
so
mean, if that's not Frauke right there, then I don't know.
I
But
like it. So I
hey,
thought,
the
okay, this is a
pantaloons
good.
too, right?
And what?
The pantaloons.
Yes. So
Not something you see very regularly
that's
today.
true. So I thought, this is a good place for me to start with something that is just simple.
Right.
Not, there are cartoonized drawings that are really detailed, that are really, whatever. And so I
Yeah.
thought,
Yeah.
okay, I really
But yeah.
love this
Yeah.
style, this really sort of
Exactly.
innocent,
Exactly.
simple style. So I took one of her drawings that is slightly different than the style of Small Knight, but it's similar. And that's when I started trying to draw, just from imagination,
I
take these
love it.
simple forms and do that. So that's
Absolutely
where
love
I
it.
started drawing
Absolutely love it.
all these different things. And so I have I have the ones that I showed you that I did of
Oh,
me.
oh, oh, okay. I pulled this picture up for a very specific reason, but we'll come back to it. Let me see what you're showing me
Oh,
here. Oh, there's
well,
more. Oh, there's more. Oh, there's
yeah.
more.
So
All
these
right,
are
right,
my,
right.
my
Wow, wow, wow,
my
wow,
ballet drawings. And
wow.
this is like first attempt.
Can you
We'll
zoom in on the
see.
face of the standing girl? Good. A little bit more smile. Okay, brilliant,
And
brilliant.
then there was me.
There's guitar, Erica. All righty then. Right then. Right. Yeah.
I started drawing.
Are those expressions deliberate or did they just happen?
Um, the ones at the top were deliberate. I don't think I necessarily did a deliberate facial
Okay.
expression on
Okay.
the guitar.
I mean, they just seem a lot more less joyful than the Erica that I know. That's my point.
Well, because I'm trying to keep it simple, right? That was
Oh,
with
okay.
with these first iterations. The whole point was That was
Gotcha.
one of the things I really
Gotcha.
like about
Gotcha.
Blanca's
Gotcha.
drawings is
Gotcha.
that she
Gotcha.
doesn't do all of these detail. It's literally
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
dot dot smile.
Right. Right. But even so, though, she's still sharing a mood that's what I'm saying. I don't mean it to be more elaborate. I just noticed the mood was really interesting. So yeah.
Yeah, well, like I said, this
Brilliant.
first
Brilliant.
iteration, I'm trying to keep it very
I love it. I
simple.
love it. I love it. I love it. So I want to ask you before you show me the next iteration, first iteration, that first drawing you shared me. If I were to feed that picture of monkeys that I
Mm,
brought up, yeah, into a computer, an art evaluation, an art skill evaluation computer,
right.
and yours, what are they going to say about the skill level artistically of the two drawings, two paintings?
I simple. I don't know.
Same level.
Mm, right,
Level. I'm saying skill level, art skill level, not art merit, art skill level.
right.
Is there any? Does Manka have any more actual artistic skill than you do?
No, and but
Exactly.
that's what I have found so interesting in this
Exactly.
process is
Exactly.
that I'm seeing that even in a really short amount of time,
Exactly.
as I'm practicing, I'm getting better at more quickly being able to do what
Exactly.
I'm trying to do. I'm getting better at
Exactly.
being able to
Exactly.
so
Right.
I can see improvement happening.
Yes.
Not that
Yes.
so,
Yes.
and
Yes.
that's what I think I see with Manka's stuff is that
Yes.
she is still she still draws in a very simple way,
Yeah.
but she adds depth and
Right.
interest
Right.
because of all of the time that she has practiced with
Exactly.
being able to
Exactly.
add details.
Exactly. Now, to me, right here, let's really get into moreness here. She has perfected the skill to the level not of being able to really, draw a photograph, which is seems to be the intent of most people who learn to draw. But
Right,
she's learned her skill to the level where she can communicate her intent,
right,
and that's enough.
right,
That's all she's interested in. She's not interested in necessarily having a wonderful style and artistic skills in the usual sense. No, her artistic skill lies in the ability to communicate her
right,
intent. Yes. And that's why I asked you when I saw your picture, I didn't even think of Manka or anything. I simply asked you, are you telling a story? Is this
right,
sharing a mood, a feeling?
right,
And it is, and that's all it is. Anyway, show me the rest. Show me. I didn't mean to cut you off, but it was so important to me. I just wanted to give you appreciation of yourself, in other words.
right, right. I appreciate it.
That you have, in other words, what's necessary. Yes?
Right,
Yeah. Yeah. Of course, with practice, it's going to get quicker and more smooth and more fluid and more adept. But you have what's required. This is the point I want to make.
right.
Absolutely. Undoubtedly, yes?
I think so. Yeah.
I know so. Sorry. Absolutely. It's without question because when I asked you, is your picture telling a story? Is it sharing a mood and a feeling? And you said
Right,
yes. Well, end of story. So there's no debate here, right?
right.
Yeah. Let's see what else. What else? There was more. You
So
were. I
I
stopped. I interrupted.
no, you're good. So I started thinking, I my original intent with starting this was because I was saying I think it would be really interesting for me
Yeah.
to illustrate
Yeah.
some of the fractal conceptions
Yes.
in
Yes.
and
Yes. Oh, yes.
tell the story in a way like you're telling it to a child or a young person to sort of come at that from a different way for yourself, that to understand that the me of now understands this concept inside and out, but the me of now also includes every previous me. And so
Exactly.
4-year-old me, 8-year-old me
Exactly.
might not
Lowest common
totally
denominator
grasp,
me. Yes.
yeah, might not totally grasp all of these larger
Exactly.
concepts. And so
Exactly.
I want to tell this story to myself in many different ways and come
Yes.
at it in a bunch of different
Yes.
ways.
Yes. So
So,
40 minutes in, what you just said, what you just said there, right? On if you ever go back to the recording here, 40
mhm,
minutes in, right? What you just said is the basis for the TEDx talk or TED talk that I
right,
was recommending
right,
you do.
right,
That's the point. That's the point. I mean, the rest is this is a ridiculously profound concept that you are doing and undertaking. I think it's absolutely, mind blowing genius, and I absolutely
Well,
love
I
it.
appreciate
And
it. Yeah.
as a focus, she's a storyteller telling a story. But if you have this as a passion, where you are looking to communicate to all your levels and layers, your moreness of now, this to me is a project and a passion that has no limit, no end to
Right.
it.
I agree. I agree.
What an incredible task to undertake, and you do realize that, of course, like certain other people I like to know. I mean, I know that like to add levels of difficulty onto their projects. You've chosen one that has those extra bonus levels of difficulty. Yes,
Right. Right. Yeah,
right.
it does.
Because exactly, because you are looking to take the most sophisticated, compound, complex, layered understandings and awarenesses and bring them to simplicity of comprehension by, a child.
Right.
This is an incredible, incredible task. Wow, man, I can't wait. I was looking forward to this. So I'm assuming you've got some start on this to show me, or
Well, so
there's something
where
else to be shown, and I'm just dying of curiosity here.
where I started was I started thinking about one of the things that I mean, obviously, one of the things I want to talk about or that I want to illustrate for myself that is top of the mind because it's what we've been talking about so much lately is the concept of the spark and
Yeah.
how we have talked over and over about how your spark is in who you are, not necessarily what you do per se. And
Yeah.
that, you by you being you, embracing yourself, following your joy, doing what is authentic and right and good for you,
Yeah.
being different, embracing your otherness, you spark other people to see other options and to do things according to what feels right and good to them. And so I was thinking about all these different people that have been sparks for me in the last year or so. And I thought, okay, here's a good place for me to start trying to draw someone or something in a simplified, like not with the
Yes, yes,
intent to
yes.
make it look
Essence,
realistic,
essence,
but
essence
to
to
make
your
it
expression.
look like them in some way, something
Yes,
that
yes.
sort of portrays some, like you
To
said,
capture their essence, in other words,
yeah.
yes? Yeah.
So I started taking some of the different people who have been sparked and trying to do sort of a first attempt.
Oh, I can't wait.
So, but okay, what was
What
really
daughter?
interesting, what was really interesting was
Sheesh.
in this process, it was really exciting. And Joe was laughing with me and then said, I think this is really a good sign that you're laughing. So
Yes. Yeah.
I started trying, right? I had some success with myself. I was like, okay, this is oh, I feel like this is a good first attempt. I have never been able to do anything that looks even remotely like feasible from a cartoony perspective before. So
Yes.
this is
Yes.
exciting. This is a good first start. So I
Yes.
started with myself and then I thought, okay, here, I'm going to attempt to draw someone else. And so I got to get it out because it's so funny. So,
Yes, because you're torturing the hell out of me. Absolutely.
so
I can't wait. I
right
can't wait.
away, I did do some Hedgie drawings.
Oh, wow. 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 No, wait a second. I got to pin you. Hang on. Hang on. Hang on. I want to see that some more there. Hang on. How do I pin you again? I forgot how to pin you. Oh, here we go. Okay. Full screen. Blah, blah with a cat. And that's Hedgie. Wow. Wow. I
That's
love this.
it.
I
This is a
absolutely love
this is a
this.
cat. This is a
Yes.
lizard. There's a
Yes.
butterfly.
Yes.
I was
Oh,
trying to
because
cartoon.
I asked you to write from, to draw it from like, your single digit me.
Right, right.
This is fantastic.
And what was
This,
really funny was I was thinking back to how I used to draw, and I remember that when I was really
ah,
young, I don't know if you can even see that.
always had a
I
son.
always had a sun and like birds, and
Yeah.
I always had the characters. I had all these thought bubbles.
With a speech bubble. Wow. Wow.
And something else that I did religiously, constantly was I gotta find one where
I want to see all. Oh.
I would put like motion lines.
Yes, yes,
Constant.
yes,
I would have all these little,
yes,
like motion
yes. And I think
lines.
in my caption, or at least in my instruction there, I said soreness lines are emanating from
Right.
the backside. Right,
So
right,
here's his,
exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
here's,
It looks like a germ to me. I love it.
I know he does. Yeah. He's like trying to
I
get
love
out
it.
of the box.
Oh, yes, yes, the people jumping. Oh, this is too awesome. This is too awesome.
So,
So
okay,
I
so
love.
I'll come back to Hedgie. I did not make
Okay,
it all the way
okay,
through
okay.
her own story,
Oh,
but
I'm
I'll come back
enjoying
to
this.
Hedgie.
I'm enjoying this.
But so, okay, so here I'll show you. This is so interesting because this shows a really interesting progression. Okay, so this is the drawing.
Wow.
That's the drawing of Mankas that I
Yes.
used as a
I
story.
recognized it.
So
Yes,
this
I
was
recognize.
my
I actually recognized it. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
emulation of that, and then
yeah.
these were my first attempts at like, you know,
To transform it
doing,
slightly.
yeah. So
Wow. Well, wait a second. That the one on the right hand side, I find
this one.
absolutely yes for the non-gender specific.
Well, okay, so this,
Brilliant.
yeah, that's part of the thing is like trying to
Yeah,
get some gender
yeah,
specific looking things in here.
yeah,
So the first person, actually, that was the first person I tried drawing, who is
yeah.
Joel. But I tried like really, really drawing.
His name's Gil, like he's got
No,
gills.
Joel was
Oh,
the guy.
Joel. Oh,
Yeah.
oh.
But the first person that I like really, that was just
Oh,
like a very early, like, whatever.
yeah,
But the first person, that's lovely, that I really tried. I was like, okay, I'm going to take this person's face. I'm really going to try to make it look like them. And I'm going to take this through this whole thing. Was this guitar player. I've talked about him before. He plays ambient
yes,
guitar.
and he talks while he thinks. Yeah,
And he talks while he's playing. And the whole reason that he does this is because he's trying to help people with anxiety. So he gets on and plays for an hour or two, and sometimes he doesn't talk at all, but it's the whole point is to create this space where people can come and just
I love it. I love it.
be,
I love
just
it.
feel, do whatever. And he has
That's
this
very
really
cool.
pure intent that really comes through in his lives.
Yeah.
So
if I could play an instrument, I'd do the same.
Yeah, I agree. He's very inspired. He has really inspired me to try to learn how to do that on guitar. So his name is Dallas, and so I tried drawing Dallas first. And he's difficult because he has this massive, dark, full beard.
Right.
And, like trying to do that in in a non-realistic drawing, I was like, oh boy.
I remember days of having a big beard, yes.
Well, yeah. So I started, so what I did was I went to his page, I took a screenshot of
brilliant.
him playing, and I thought, okay, here's a kind of very general idea. I'm going to take the items of clothing and, use that and try to make this into this character. So he was wearing a beanie. So he has this big beard, he has this beanie. My first attempt looks like Santa Claus.
Oh, wow, interesting. Wow,
And
I can see that. Wow.
My second attempt looks like a garden gnome.
Brilliant.
The third attempt, I don't even know what to say. I tried to and it was so bad. But
think of this from subconscious coming out.
Right.
Like political cartoonists, which I would recommend you look into videos of, those where they do those complete exaggerations of people, right? It's a real skill. Yeah.
Well, okay. So my fourth attempt, I was like, okay, this is like, I feel like I'm making progress. He doesn't look like Santa anymore. He doesn't look like a gnome. It's making progress. Yes, so then I was like, all right, I'm going to go back to Joel because I was really struggling with Joel. So I thought, okay, I'm going to go back to Joel. And I thought, all right.
Who's Joel, by the way?
Huh?
Who's Joel?
Joel is a really amazing soul. He I also found him on TikTok. He's also a musician, guitar player. I think he is a self-proclaimed musician, poet, author. He's kind of a jack of many trades, but again, kind of similar intent that he does lives every morning where he goes outside and plays his guitar, plays these really beautiful songs, and shares really simple messages of positivity, and not toxic positivity, but like real positivity.
Correct.
Just it's kind of like, to me, it reminds me, his lives in the morning remind me of the intent behind the hello world morning greeting. It's like this setting your day off in a deliberate mood and mindset. He's a really, really special person, very kind, I would say I think he's a very noble person. Really, I love what he does. And so I decided to try doing Joel kind of looking down. And this one was the worst one of the. Oh my gosh, it was so hilariously bad. And the really good thing was
to draw badly.
Yes. The really good thing was I was doing all this while Joe was sitting next to me, and I drew this thing, and I stopped and like looked back at my, and I'll show you these in a second. I stopped and looked back at my attempts at Dallas. I look at this monstrosity that I drew that was Joel from the side, and I just started dying laughing.
Wow, brilliant. Brilliant.
I was like, what is going on? And I was like hyperventilating. I was laughing so hard.
Wow.
Like, this is hilarious to me. Like, looking back at all these attempts is so funny. But it's exciting because I'm also seeing progress. Like, I'm seeing that I'm doing something and I'm like, well, that didn't work, so I try it a different way. And it was so exciting to me that art and drawing, even when I'm doing something really imperfectly with it, I don't feel this pressure of like, oh gosh, that was horrible, I need to do it. It's like fun, and I can laugh at myself. I can laugh at the process. So that was really encouraging. Okay, so are you ready?
Now you are tapping into the real intent of art.
Yes, I agree. So are you ready to see?
I'm ready to be astounded and amazed.
Okay.
And amused.
Here's the Santa.
Wow, but yeah, he looks like something from one of those food things.
Oh my gosh. Right? Yes. Okay, this is the garden gnome version.
I like that. I think that's great.
Gotta cover this because that one's the really funny one. This one, I don't even know what to say. And this was the one that I was like, okay, that's better. Like, he doesn't look like Santa. He doesn't look like a gnome. Okay, this is the thing I did of Joel. Oh my god!
Oh my goodness,
Isn't that horrible? Oh my god.
But there's so little there, but so much.
Yes.
So that's like the Urban Dictionary snowman.
Yes. So then my next attempt at Joel was this one that I thought, okay, that's
very sweet.
That's better. That's
very sweet. That's very cute.
This is the relaxing voice podcast guy that I have told you about, who, again, kind of similar noble intent.
Like an Alan Watts type voicey guy.
Yes. Again, similar sort of noble intent of trying to offer a space for people to just be, not have to think about anything in particular, just sort of listen, relax, be calm. But I think I've told you, it's really bizarre. I feel like the universe, like...
I really like your Urban Dictionary snowman.
Thank you. I feel like the universe is like speaking to me through this podcast. It's the strangest thing. He talks about all of these things that we talk about, that I've been thinking about. It's really bizarre. So there's lots of moreness for me going on with the podcast and with him. So that was one day. And so that night, I decided to try replicating what I had done and painting it.
Oh, wow. Wow.
I tried Joel first, and his jacket got way too complicated. So there's like a half done thing of Joel, and then I tried him again, and I liked it better.
Yeah.
So this is Dallas, the
Wow.
painting version,
Wow. Wow.
and then this.
I love that little guy in the top left there.
This one.
Yeah.
That was my attempt at Joel that got too complicated.
Oh, so it's Joel mixed up with Dallas a little bit.
This was my second attempt at Joel.
Yeah. Wow.
And
I like
then
that little fly there.
this is Cavern, and he, on his first episode of the podcast, he had a fly that kept buzzing around, and so he started calling him his co-host. So the
right. I got you.
Cav has the fly.
Wow.
So that was my first iteration.
I love these.
Oh,
Erica.
and okay, I have to show you. I also went back. So I started just fiddling around with it. This was actually my very first.
By the way, it's a little weird. I've got you full screen still, and I've never really been chatting with Giant Erica.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's funny. My first day before I started doing like Manka style, where I was just attempting off the top of my head. Yeah. I did a couple paintings, and I thought, okay, I'm going to try painting Syl. And so I went back. I went to your page.
I'm not looking.
No, okay. So I went to your page, and I thought, okay, I'm just going to try to find a video. He posts his lives a lot, so I'll try to find one. So the first one that came up was from several years ago. I think it was actually a video I was on. I think it was Cher maybe.
Right. One of the combo ones.
Longer hair, you had your longer beard, and you had glasses on in the video. So I started to put glasses on you, and then I didn't finish them. But so this was my very first attempt at you.
Wow, I look like Moses.
I know. I was like, he looks like a prophet or something, some biblical character.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it. Old Testament biblical. That's it. Yeah.
And this is more the style that I usually paint. So
that's really nice.
This is another painting of Joel. So this is
mood there is something else.
This is more of what I would normally do. And then I tried like a guitar.
Yeah.
So
see that's painting there to me has mood to it.
Yes. Well, that is more my natural.
So I only got the one iteration?
No. So I started. Okay. Wait a minute. I keep flipping back and forth between different things.
Okay. That's okay. I love it.
No. So I have not attempted. Well, wait a minute.
This is a treat. This is a treat.
Oh, here we go. Okay. So this was my most recent day of sketching. I think this was a day or two ago.
Yeah, brilliant.
And I started moving into the women sparks. I had done like the men and then the women. So the women sparks I started doing.
Fantastic.
And I started experimenting with changing the face shape so that it wasn't quite so like Stewie Griffin.
Yes, because I did notice that you tended to use the same facial shape for everybody.
Well, so that was intentional, right?
I see. Okay.
Keeping things very simple. I'm trying to start with very, very simple.
Wow, that's very cool actually to look to express different people with the same face shape. That's quite a challenge.
Wow. So that was the idea. So I started changing some of the face shapes. So the second day, I made it a little bit more.
Wow. Now that there looks like somebody who's got lots of story behind them going on.
And she does, or they. She's a she, they. But yeah, they do.
Yeah, she, they. Yeah, so, that's what I was going to say. That's a they, not a...
Yes.
That's the pronoun that I use when I don't want to
Yes.
choose a gender. Yeah,
I
so
actually love her. The pronouns that she uses are she or they or fancy he, which I really like.
interesting. I always thought Hesh could be a pronoun.
Ooh, I like that. Hesh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Hesh
So,
climbed into the bus. What do you mean now? Right?
yeah, I
I
like
love it. So yeah, yeah. So
so
anyway,
yeah,
that's my. I was
very-
at school when I thought of it. By the way.
I like it. So she is a very special person, and I liked
Yeah.
that iteration.
Yes, and I like her
Then,
little creatures there. That's
yeah,
very
so
cool.
that's part
Yeah.
of her thing.
Her story. Right.
Her
Right.
story
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
she does videos under the username Sad But Rad, and she
Ye-
talks about
Now
mental.
that is an excellent. Sorry to interrupt you, but sad but red. Boy, that picture really does that.
Yeah, yeah. So
So
she does
wow.
videos about mental health,
Yes.
about sort of self care, like
Yeah. Yeah.
she reminds you to drink water, do some
She
kind of
cares, but she's fierce. Yes.
she is in a really oh she is in a really unusual way,
Benign
I
way.
would
Yeah.
say. So
Unusual way.
something
Right.
that she talks about, she in a lot of her videos, she has the I don't know what you call them, but they're sort of like the Japanese style plushie,
Anime.
like um,
Oh, the toys. Ah, gotcha.
what's the cat? What's the cat that started this whole thing? Oh my gosh, what is that thing called? It's like this very cartoony, squishy, round
Yeah. Yeah.
cat.
I know what you mean.
And so she has all of these. She loves those stuffed animals, and she like has them in all of her videos. And she says that she's a squishy too. She said, oh, that's I
Uh,
relate because this is
yeah, a
like
lot of people identify with them, and in the anime, like there's a big identification with the characters that are represented by that, right?
right, right.
The species. I mean, yeah, yeah.
And then this person was a really difficult one to draw, and I attempted redrawing her numerous times. Um, Her name is Whitney, and she is a poet. She writes
Wow,
really beautiful poetry,
wow.
and
Wow.
she has a shaved head, which
Uh-huh.
was really hard to convey her. She's
Yeah,
incredibly beautiful, has this very feminine just essence to her.
yeah,
And
yeah,
it was really hard to convey that with a shaved head.
yeah.
So I reattempted her about 800 times on the next
But
page.
in that picture, I can see the moreness and the niceness of this person very
She
clearly.
she's
Very
a
clearly.
very, very, yeah, she's a really interesting person.
Yeah.
And one of her poems that I love that came at a really perfect time for me because it was something I had just been thinking about. She talks about perfectionism and about how we often don't attempt to do things because we are afraid of mediocrity. We're afraid of being average.
Exactly. She may
So
as well have been scolding past Erica.
yes, and so she says, don't be afraid to do
Yeah,
something
yeah.
just because you're average at it.
Right,
And she
right,
said
right.
something which had
Exactly.
been
Exactly.
so prevalent for me in my thinking in the past that was along the lines of when there are so many other people out there who are so much better at X than me, then
Yes.
why would I
Exactly. And
add my
it's
voice to that?
crazy.
And she
It's
called that out very specifically in her poem
ah,
and
brilliant.
says,
Brilliant.
no, like
Brilliant.
do it
Brilliant.
anyway. Do it. It doesn't matter. Don't be afraid of your
Yeah.
averageness. You don't have to be perfect
Yeah.
at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
A
then,
quick addition. Sorry, a quick
yeah.
addition to that. I saw a post or a comment or a quote from some famous successful artist who said, I really get irritated when people say, "Oh, I've got no talent for art." He said,
Mm-hmm.
"What you actually mean is you never tried.
Right.
You never put any effort into it." He said, "Anybody can learn to be an artist. It just takes some effort, like anything else.
Right.
It's not talent is irrational. It's irrelevant to the whole deal, right?" As Erica is discovering.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
I can't draw for anything, but it's simply because I never made any effort.
Right.
Very
Right.
consciously, I avoided all efforts.
Mm-hmm.
I was telling Bina just a real quick aside here. Um, I used to draw stick figures up until I think about 10 years old, and
Uh-huh.
I'd get crap for it. And nobody ever asked me. I'm sure if they'd analyzed it, well, is he retarded or what? I just didn't want to make the effort. It was just too
Mm-hmm.
much effort to do that. I was just lazy because I wasn't into the subject matter, because that was religious studies, and we had to draw. Again,
Yeah.
we had to draw pictures from the Old Testament, the stories, right? But then I also went to art school, which was a big deal in that town. I mean, they had a real legitimate, genuine art school, and this was extracurricular after school, right? It
Mm-hmm.
was a very big deal. And we had, and again, I was very anti the whole thing. I don't know why, and I stopped going after a while. And I was telling Bina, it made no sense that I was so anti drawing, but I think
Mm-hmm.
I love art because I never didn't like art. But I felt that if I had gotten consumed in art, I never would have read. I never would have become a reader. The
Interesting.
art would have drawn me, and I would never have come back.
Right.
And on
Right.
balance of the two, I would rather have the reader, because I can always now go to art, but
Right.
you can't really go back into reading if
Right.
you spent a life consumed in art. Yes.
Right. I agree.
So I thought that was like, wow, very interesting. Very
It is
interesting.
interesting.
Anyway, tell me next, girl. Sorry,
Okay.
I
So
digress, but it just was so pertinent. Yeah.
this is another person from TikTok. Her name is Michaela, and she posts these really great, um, just this truly sharing of like
Ah,
really great sharings
gotcha,
of
gotcha.
her um, thoughts, new
Yeah,
understandings, experiences
yeah,
with
yeah. So
mental health,
blatant.
with anxiety, with different things. She
Yeah.
always posts, um, when she's talking about those things, she always posts videos where she is outside and she'll have a leaf in her hand and she like twirls the leaf while she's talking. She always
Wow.
finds a new leaf and she'll twirl the leaf. And she has these really awesome insights and interesting things to say, but she's very earnest and
Yeah, yeah,
very,
yeah,
she really does share rather than tell.
yeah,
And
yeah,
she has started, she also is a musician. Um,
yeah.
she's started posting some of her music, which is really beautiful. And she has started posting some really silly, just goofy videos that I really love. You see a totally different side of her.
Ah, brilliant,
She
brilliant.
is a really, really another really special, really
Yeah. Oh, I can see that.
noble
Yeah,
person.
yeah. By the way, the difference between your guys and the women, chalk and cheese. Yes. And the guys, I just saw pictures. I couldn't really get a deep feel of them. In this, on the women, I can absolutely feel
Right.
the people and person there.
Well,
It's astonishing to me, the difference. Yeah.
and to me, again, I mean, that's one of the things that's really exciting
Got
for
to
me
practice.
is, yeah, this is between these two
Yeah.
is like a day. And
I
it's
know.
really,
Exponential learning, in other words.
well, it's exciting to me that just attempting, trying this, seeing the outcome, you learn so much about, okay, all right, so this, I want to,
Feedback loops, in other words, right?
yeah, it's really fascinating how much,
Self compounding feedback loops.
yes, it's
Yeah.
amazing how much it can change from day to day. It's really fascinating.
In other
So,
words, capital P practice, right?
right. So then I
Wow.
did another attempt at Dallas here,
Yes. Yes.
which I
And
liked.
Joel.
I think
Right.
that was my best. That was the one I liked the best. Then there's another attempt at
Yeah.
Joel.
But
There's
they don't. Those two still don't share as much uh, of the depth of the layered complexity of their personalities and characters.
right.
Still
Well,
not as the woman. It's very
we'll
interesting.
see.
The Joel,
Um.
but yes, especially the little one up there. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, this of Cavern. Yeah.
Not Joel. That's the other guy. Right. Right.
So
Right.
then I started messing with the face shape again. So I tried
Ah,
Whitney
here
again.
it gets coming. Yeah.
Then I tried doing a Manka Kasha like small night version. Oh
Yeah.
no, that was this one.
That one
And
there. There.
I didn't like it as much, so I decided to abandon that. So then I did another one of me. I decided to try a different one of me.
Yeah, yeah.
And then
Of
I
Spark,
started,
right? Is that character called Spark?
This one.
Yeah, the one that you showed me, the very first drawing. To me, that's in
Oh,
my mind, that's a character called
I like
Spark.
it. I like it. So then let's see. I tried doing Cavern again, and then I tried doing Cavern again,
Yeah,
and that one was my favorite one so
yeah,
far. I mean, I feel like I'm seeing improvement.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I put part of why I have the microphone in front of his face is because with all of his posts on TikTok, he deliberately covers like the second half of his face. So you never
Oh,
see his nose and his mouth. So that's why I have that in front of his face. But
yeah.
then this was my one of my more recent attempts at you.
Oh, me, not Dallas. I thought that was
Yeah,
Dallas.
I know. The beard thing, it makes everybody look the same. But that was
Yeah,
another attempt at
yeah,
you. But
yeah.
I have to show you the in between attempts at you.
Oh, brilliant.
There's
Oh, I love it. I love
Okay,
it.
so, and then there was another attempt of Joel.
Yeah, that's nice. That one of Joel. Very simple of Joel. Is Joel a very simple fellow? In terms of not having no depth and complexity, but some people are kind of smooth and they don't really share the complexity. They just come across as kind of how to say now. I don't mean simple as in intellectually simple. I mean
Right.
simple as in mood.
Um,
No,
yes and no. I mean,
because you draw him that way. That's why I'm asking.
yeah, I don't know. Yes and no, I think. Um,
I mean,
okay.
with a woman, there was clearly lots of other stuff going on, but with that picture of Joel, there's like doesn't seem to be a lot going on.
Yeah,
Not that
I
it
don't
isn't
know.
profound.
Okay, so
I'm
oh
waiting.
my god, these are so bad. Okay,
Oh,
so my
good. Oh, good. Oh,
this was
good.
actually I think my
If
first.
you want to draw me, by the way, simply make my head rectangular shaped.
Oh my god. Uh,
I'm serious. I mean, I've got an exceptionally long head,
well,
narrow, long head. No,
okay, I will.
yeah,
Well, see, I did a narrow, long head there. You just
a
look
little bit,
like
but that's still not even close to it.
Moses.
Yeah,
Well, so okay, so I tried. This was I think after I painted this one, which
yeah,
that was when I was just attempting. That was like the very, very, very first attempt that I did, where I was sticking more to like sort of more realistic looking things. So this was my first attempt. Oh, they're so bad. This was
yeah.
my first attempt at like cartoony looking so.
Yeah.
And I said to Joe, one of the things I said to him was, what's fascinating about this process is you start drawing and you have no idea
That's
what's
where it
going to
starts. It's
come
not
out.
where it ends.
Yeah.
Yes.
You have no idea what this is going to look like when you're done. You just start going and then you stop and you go, okay, what does this look like?
That's
So,
how I write most of my articles and posts, by the
yeah.
way. Same thing.
So that's what happened with these. I was like, I don't know. Like, I'm just going to try and we'll see what happens. And as soon as I got done, I said, this is a really obscure reference, but I said, this episode of Scooby Doo, there's an episode of
Uh-huh.
Scooby, my favorite show ever, where the episode is called The Creeper. And
Oh,
there's this
I,
really
I I don't care where this is going in the context of showing you drawings of
so
me, but
there's this really bizarre aside in this episode that I have no idea what the point or purpose of it was, but they in the middle of this whole, elaborate story, they go on this very short, strange aside where they cross this bridge. They're trying to get away from the creeper, and they're trying to find the creeper,
oh,
and
oh,
they
oh.
cross this bridge, and they end up in this hermit's cave. There's this man living in a cave, and he's like making squirrel stew, and they only go into this cave for like 2 seconds. It's the strangest aside. It has nothing to do with the rest of the story. They never bring this character back up again. But he's always stuck in my mind. I always remember him because he had this really bizarre laugh and he had this like very specific look. And as soon as I drew this, I was like, oh my god, He looks like the hermit from the
Oh, brilliant.
Oh my god.
Brilliant.
Okay,
I do
this
live in
is
a cave.
so
I live in
bad.
a portable cave, actually.
This is so bad. There's two. There's two of them, and
Oh,
they're
brilliant.
equally bad. They're equally horrible. And you're next to Cavern here.
Wow.
And he's,
Wow. Wow. I like the bottom one.
oh my gosh, they're so bad.
Wow.
They're so
Wow.
bad.
And the round glasses. Yeah, I remember those.
Yes,
Yeah.
I know. That was again. I was going back to that old video. So yeah, it's been so. But see, for me, the exciting thing was, even though this still looks very generic and not particularly like you,
Yeah.
to go from the
Yes.
hermit
There's
to that,
progression. Right.
I was like, hey, this is
Oh,
progress.
there's
I am
massive
making progress.
progression. Right. So I mean, seriously though, if you draw me next time, try just make a long rectangle. And
Okay.
then give like the look. See, almost a third of it is that I've got a very big forehead, right? You see? Yeah. Don't you think?
I don't think. I mean,
Oh,
the proportion for drawing a face, you're supposed to go cut it in half, and that's where the eyes are. So I
yeah.
think
Yeah,
your eyes are in.
I don't know. I'd say there's my half. No.
No,
I
because
kind
it's the top of your head, like your hair, sort of top of your
Yeah.
head.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think
Well,
yours
anyway, that's the way I see it. There's a long face, and then the beard doesn't go sideways; it just goes down.
down, right?
I mean, there's no
Okay.
beard on the side; it just goes
Okay,
down.
that's a
And
good.
then also, I got fattish cheeks. But the plump in the cheeks, and then I don't know. I mean, you
Well,
draw eyes that are very innocent eyes, but I
yes.
would say my eyes might have a bit more sadness than most. No,
Interesting.
yeah, because
Interesting.
they see too much. See,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just
Right.
saying, but also this is prominent for me, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Well, okay.
yeah.
I will continue. I will continue making
And the
attempts.
eyes are too close together.
Your eyes are too close together?
I feel they could be moved just if I were to design my face, I would just move them just a tiny fraction. I mean,
Interesting. I would not have thought that. I would not have thought that.
oh no, no, oh that's good to hear then. All right, never mind,
No.
cancel. Okay, take that back, take that back.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, I don't. That is not something I would have thought. So, yeah, okay. So,
Self-perception is a fascinating thing, right?
yes.
Yeah.
So then we get.
Oh, Hedgi gives me
Hedgie.
so much joy.
So, yeah, I don't even know. I don't know how far I got.
So please take on your phone, zoom in so you get the whole page only. You know what I mean?
Do I?
Pictures of these drawings.
Oh, take pictures of them?
Yeah, so send it to me so that I can add it to the story.
Okay, okay. So, yeah, here's Hedgie listening to the cat and the lizard and the butterfly talking.
Right.
And
right.
then that's Hedgie wearing
the
their
cat
mask.
disguise. Oh, that's Hedgie pretending. Oh, fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. I like the way Hedgie's got so few spines, by the way.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. And then this is when Hedgie gets to Cat Town.
Yeah, and they're all jumping in the boxes. Yes. Oh, I love that. I love that. I love that. I love the wee.
And then this is Hedgie attempting to jump.
Yes,
making a very small jump off the
ground. And I like the expression, like he's trying to but not succeeding.
Right,
yes, very appropriate. Very appropriate.
And then here is Hedgie climbing inside of the box.
He's not sky surfing. Okay, never mind.
Yes. No, he's not sky surfing.
No, that's exactly, that's right. He uses the plank to get into the box. Right. Exactly. Yeah.
And then
he falls in, right? I just love that expression, the eyes, those crooked eyes. It's just too brilliant. Because he's he's not necessarily upset that he got hurt. He's a bit perplexed that he did, right? Right. So you got that. Yes. Okay. He's feeling a bit of an ouch, but he's also confused. It's perfect. There.
Okay. And then here's Hedgie.
Realization sets in.
Realizing. And I think that this looks like if you ever have seen SpongeBob.
Yes.
Okay, Plankton. I think that he looks like Plankton.
Yes, Plankton. Right. He does. He does look a bit like Plankton. Yes. I don't know SpongeBob that well, but
on
Yes,
his
yeah, he's him
toes,
trying to get up,
trying to get
trying to
out.
jump. Right, right,
I
right.
think that was as far as I made it. Yes, that's as far as I've
Oh, I
gotten.
love it. So please send those to me
Okay.
because in a couple of days, Bina's nieces, Gunsha and Nabira, are going to come back, and she's
Okay.
started them to get them on this, and we're going to read the story and this, and they really into art big time. So when I say, look, here's what my 30-something-year-old friend is, Annie Erica, because they call Bina
Oh,
Annie. It's too cute, yeah, Annie. So I say, this is Annie Erica's drawings. I think they are going to be thrilled because I don't think they have anything that at that level of drawing. From what I understand from Bina, they've passed that already. So
yes. Yeah.
yeah. So this will be very encouraging for them, and this is the idea for me in the book is to show others drawings, and it's like, hey, here we go, and put like a space. You put a drawing and a space, and then you can even add to your drawing,
Right.
so they add to your drawing, maybe give him more spikes if they think he's got too few spikes or whatever.
Right.
Right. So I love this. This is so perfect for the project with the nieces. Yeah, they are something special. I hope that when they come on, I'll see if you're on and try and get you to come and just say hi.
Yeah, that would be cool.
They're truly something exceptional. Yeah,
That would be cool. I
yeah,
like
yeah.
it.
I mean, it's amazing to me. I mean, it kind of blows my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. When we leave kids be a little bit, and their mom is not all that cool actually, but still, like,
Mm,
oh yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, she's okay, but I mean, she's not Bina, but I guess
Right.
maybe there's a lot of influence from Bina. So
Yeah.
it's very cool, very cool. I just this drawing is too brilliant. And again, look at the journey in so short a time.
Right.
This is the magic of capital P practice. Compounds on itself. It's unbelievable. I just find it too incredibly fantastic. No wonder I'm getting art. I've left the heater on.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. This is
Yeah.
this is
It's
something.
been
And again, when you look at the overall intent, your intent is to be able to communicate.
right.
And that I feel you already are doing. And as your skills increase, like those pictures of the woman, wow, this is to me, you've got it. There, you've already got it. I don't know why the guys don't get expressions, but it doesn't
Right.
matter. It's interesting though. I mean, maybe you just don't see the guys in the same way.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, yeah, it's very intriguing. But man, I love those are my favorites, by the way. The pictures of the woman there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because they had so much depth to them. You're telling a story. I mean, if you asked me to write an article on those pictures, I'd have tons and tons and tons of stuff to say.
Yeah. I like
Oh
it.
yeah. Oh, I could write tons. Whereas on the guys' ones, I'd have to invent stuff.
Mm,
I
yeah.
wouldn't be feeding off the picture as much. So, but I mean, on those really, but some of them, some of the Joel ones, and
Hmm.
the painting you did of the guy playing with the head
Yeah.
turn, this is great. This is great. By the way, in my stories, I never, ever, ever give skin color,
Yeah.
yeah. Except for Hamum, who's blue.
I like it.
Yeah, well, he's an alien, so all right.
Right.
And I make a point. I just actually posted a story today, um, the Grace story
Hmm.
about the detective, And when I wrote the story, I wrote it, and it was always they, yeah.
Right.
And halfway through, I said pop quiz. What's the? Oh, that was in the pop quiz one was in uh, the Jedi, the Master, and the Apprentice.
Mm,
In that one, I make a very concerted point to not to give them gender, right?
right.
And I say halfway through, say, hey, by the way, what's the gender? And people just assume, oh, well, it's a Jedi, it must be a man. No, no, no. Same thing in my story with the detective. It's a she in the end.
Hmm.
But yeah, I don't care to pigeonhole like that. It's always
Right.
bothered me. Always
Right.
bothered. It's important that we think differently, right? And same thing, with any kind of race. To me, just people.
I agree.
Yeah, it's very important. Very important. I love it. I love it. But I mean, we do also have to acknowledge that we do have differences and
Hmm.
embrace those. So I try to be a person that includes male and includes female and includes everything else that I can think of that I know,
Right.
right? Like includes dog. I tried for many years. I was very actively working on being more dog-like.
Yeah.
Good quality to have. Very powerful.
Absolutely. I agree.
So what's next, Erica? I really would recommend, by the way, looking up instructional videos for political cartooning,
Yeah.
because I've seen some of those, and when they explain the techniques they use for completely distorting a face but keeping the essential characteristics, I thought this was absolutely brilliant when I watched it. How
Yeah.
they were able to capture essence and the techniques for it, and it didn't seem very complicated to me,
Right.
interestingly enough.
Right.
So I thought, wow, this seems to me what you're trying to do in a certain extent.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So I thought those probably might be very handy, because I
But,
remember seeing at the time that these guys were explaining how they did what they did, because the interviewer said, but how do you keep this, that I can clearly see this is Nixon, although it obviously looks nothing like Nixon. It's a complete
right.
distortion. And they described how they did that, and it was actually very simple. That's what I remember, because it was just one video, one interview, and they told you how they did it. So
Yeah.
that would be I thought, in from what you're doing, it seems to me this might be useful, no?
Yeah. I think so for sure.
So where's the long term? Yeah, where are you going, or don't you know? Just
Yeah. I don't know. Don't know. We'll see. I want to do stories, like I said, for
yeah,
myself of
yes, of
finding,
spark.
sort of challenging myself to
Yeah,
express and explain
yeah.
different fractal conceptions
I love
to
this. I love
younger
this idea.
me.
Oh, this I love. So basically, from what I'm saying there, I mean, to me, when you showed me that character, in my mind, her name is Spock. But anyway,
Right.
so
I was
basically,
drawing her as Mira, but for
I got
sure,
you, gotcha. But essentially, to me, your stories are of you sparking Spock or Mira.
me sparking Mira. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and them doing it back in turn again.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Wow, wow, very cool stuff. Very cool stuff. I so look forward to this. In terms of stories, every single video is a story, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you think in the context of what you're saying,
Right.
because now when you go back and you look at this, and you take your notes and your takeaways, never mind the story, this is a book. Each one can be a book. There's so
Right.
much in it. Yes. And I mean, if you can succeed in what you're doing, this would be, something I think absolutely momentous, and then you will succeed. This I have no doubt of. Yeah. To me, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when, with a caveat of should you persist.
Right.
That's Yeah, and I don't think the persistence is onerous in this context either.
Right.
That's important, yes,
Yeah.
because I've seen many things. I know I can do pretty much anything I set my mind to.
Right.
This I know, but sometimes it's like, well, it's kind of onerous. It's a hassle. It's a pain in the butt. I don't want
Right.
to. Yeah. So, but in this case, I think that it's not about getting to the destination. The process, the journey, is in itself joyful. Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. It seems like you really enjoy this. Yeah.
I do. It's really fun. I'm really having fun with it.
And like I said, skill and talent is not. Although I absolutely will say, it seems very obvious that yes, the requisite talent is most certainly and absolutely there.
Well, I appreciate the feedback. Yeah.
This is undoubted. Those three, the three women there, or was there a fourth one? But they clearly reveal this. Clearly, 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 clearly. This is undoubted. Right? Yeah.
Wow. I appreciate it. Yeah.
I mean, and yeah, I'm not coming at art from an idle point of view. Um, my mother was big into art. Called herself an artist.
Mm-hmm.
But and art was always a very big part. And of course, in all my posts, like the one I shared today, actually, choosing art to represent the post. Yeah, I'll show you what I mean.
Yeah.
This is a big deal. So, um, where am I going now? Oh yeah, this is a big deal in terms of practicing discernment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very, very, very big deal. So I really, really, really look at art. Let me do the screen share. I was gonna start talking about it. Yeah, and I said, wow, I better do screen share. I always forget, you know. Right. So this is my picture that goes with the detective story.
Mm.
Um, and I wanted something that was very neutral, that you couldn't necessarily say ethnicity or anything. Yes, okay,
Right.
you've got the scarf and that, but still, you know, when you look at the eyes, not necessarily, and it can
Yeah.
even be a male. Yeah. So anyway, um, this one. So the post is about just discernment, and you know, not assuming stuff, and people saying stuff and they're trying to make it a pattern and a habit. And so I thought, wow, you know, I gotta read you the post now, otherwise it doesn't really make much sense. Right. So quote seen on Facebook: life is so ironic. We ignore who adores us and adore who ignores us.
Mm.
Love who hurt us, but hurt to love us. I said, no, sorry, don't agree, and don't do. And making it sound like general behavior only serves to propagate messed up thinking and make it seem normal, thereby helping to entrench it. Whoever is crappy enough to be this way really doesn't need to be made to feel like it's not
Mm.
an aberration. And yes, the quote, when you first read it, you go, yes, I hear you. Right.
Right.
But I'm looking to go past that, obviously.
Yeah.
This type of perspective is insidious in its influence. It's this type of distortion which contributes to the messed up side of society. Someone justifying their own nonsense by making it seem normal. Haha. Don't mean to overreact. It's not just this particular post, but this kind of post or perspective in general. They seem so innocent, but yet, if we can't catch these with our awareness, they work their way into us and cause havoc eventually.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
very big point, right? So Elizabeth, and I was looking at this picture when I, you know, it's a memory that I'm sharing, and I was like, dang man, I was just really enjoying my choice. Well done, Sol. Okay, great choice here, really, really awesome choice, because it so represents what I'm saying. So, oh, I haven't seen Show's comment yet. So Elizabeth says, oh, nope. Okay, obviously she's agreeing with me in the nope, right? Not the quote.
Right.
Reject entirely this thinking. I wasn't sure at first he was talking about me or, but anyway.
Right.
Why does the victim mentality persist so? Only by conquering it, like this is the part I like. Only by conquering with like this awesome squid warrior with its many tentacles, silence that insidious monster who wishes to keep us its captive.
I
So I
like
thought
it.
she's really, you know, articulating what the picture does. So I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. I love that. Yeah. So I have to still read what she said. Yeah, but yeah. So you know, in this, when you know, use stuff to tell, I truly don't feel it's necessary for art to go to this level of sophistication to communicate.
Right.
Yeah,
I agree.
because
I agree.
compared to Manka now, right?
Right.
This loses. As much as I love it, and I love, you know, abstract art, you know, all the
Mhm.
different pictures that I post, obviously you've seen, I do love them, but they detract from the point you're making.
Right.
Manka's
Right.
art and your art, you know, at least that I've seen here now, it's communicating the essence, and this is key.
Hmm.
So, you know, just to be clear, this and the time it would take to do this, forget about making a story out of it. It's just not
Right.
possible. You know?
Well, that's one of the reasons that I wanted to do the
Yeah,
simplified stuff too, was because I thought
yeah,
the
yeah,
point isn't, I mean, the art facilitates the story, but that's the point, is the
yeah.
story.
Exactly.
So I want the art to be something that enables
Yeah,
that to
exactly,
move. You know, I
exactly,
don't want it to be
exactly. The
something
art
that
is not
one,
the story. Correct.
right. I don't want it to be something that one drawing takes me,
Exactly.
24 hours to do or whatever.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So I would like to see another iteration of a complete reinvention of Hedgi at some point. That would be fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know, you communicated the story, and this I love. You sharing the essential points. I can't wait to share that story with, you know, I don't know. Somebody said they had kids, and I asked them how old their kids are. You know, I've tried so many times. I don't know what it is, but I keep trying to get people to read the story so that I can hear how the kids enjoyed it.
Yeah.
That never happens.
Oh.
They always say, "Yeah, sure, okay, I'll read it to my whatever, you know, children or nieces, cousins." Never happened. So,
Yeah.
so I don't know what kids think of it, but I know what the adults think of it.
Yes.
But you know, I enjoy the story in my kids' side, so I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure the kids would too. So. But yeah, it's just intriguing to me that I've never had this. So, but it's good though because I think it's shifting the story to a different
Right,
dimensionality.
right.
Yeah.
I like it.
So this is interesting from an adult learning to draw point of view, right? To use a story like Hedgie to practice your drawing.
Right.
So I will put it into the book. This is an all ages story, and it's everybody's encouraged. And look, here's my 30-something-year-old, niece. I'll call you my niece. This is her efforts, and I just love it. I mean, this is so magical. I mean, you give me such joy when I know, because I know the story. If I were to read the story with those pictures next to it, my level of enjoyment with Hedgie is just off the charts. So, did you notice, by the way, in my when I shared you the story in the email, I made space for where the drawings in case
Yeah.
you print out the story, then you
Right.
had that space there.
Right. Right.
It's multi-layered.
I like it. I like it.
All right. So what else is going on? What else is going on
Oh
beside all this?
man. So I have. It's really.
I am super, super excited for you, by the way.
Well, thank you. Me
I mean,
too.
this is just too awesome.
I'm really enjoying it. It's been really fun so far.
Yeah.
Um, there have been several things. I was trying to remember this morning what all they were. I know one of them was Spider-Man, the one with oh my
Tobey
God.
Maguire.
Is that his name? Tobey Maguire? And yeah, and like Renee, no, it's not Renee Zellweger.
I don't know Spider-Man that intimately.
So yeah, the one from like the 2000s. I think it was Toby or whatever that guy. That yeah, that dude. Um, who was it? Was not Renee Zellweger. What is that girl's name? I'm trying to remember the
Google
person.
it and you'll find. Just
Yeah, I'm
Google
trying to remember
Spider-Man
the person
2000 maybe.
who played MJ. But anyway, they've been showing that iteration of Spider-Man because of the new one coming out. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
showing all these old versions of Spider-Man on TV. So I know that was one of them, but there's been multiple like things on TV shows and movies that or like maybe videos on YouTube or something
Mm, mm.
that are talking about the exact or exemplifying the exact thing that we were talking about last week with forgiveness and understanding and all that. It's really,
Oh,
really
wow,
interesting.
wow, wow, wow.
Um, Super interesting. Um, and like in the Spider-Man example, the what was that character's name? Sandman, I think. In this particular version of Spider-Man, Peter's uncle gets killed by the character who eventually becomes Sandman,
Oh,
and it was in a robbery. So this guy was like trying to take his uncle's car, and he ends up shooting him. And throughout the whole movie, Peter is like obsessed with taking this guy down and bringing him to justice. And at the end of the movie, um, they meet each other again, and Sandman says, I never wanted any of this to happen. I didn't want to be enemies with you. I didn't want any of these bad things to happen. And I can't remember. Peter says something like, yeah, but you killed my uncle and whatever. And Sandman explains that he the only reason that he was doing what he was doing at the time was because his daughter was really sick and he needed money for medicine. And so his friend convinced him to like rob a bank or a convenience store or something.
mm,
And while his friend was robbing the place, he was supposed to be getting a getaway vehicle. And he comes across Peter's uncle who's sitting in the car by himself, and he has a gun, and he tells him, give me your car, I need your car. And Peter's uncle tries to help him, and he says,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
son, go home, get rid of the gun, go home. You don't want to be doing this, you don't want to be here. And then he says, my partner comes running out with the money, and starts, jostling me. And he said, I had the gun in my hand and it went off accidentally. And it shot, I shot your uncle. And he said, I have dealt with so much guilt and, beat myself up over this and whatever. And he said, I don't expect you to forgive me, but I wanted you to understand.
Wow.
And Peter has this total change of heart. And in the end, he says, I forgive you. But the whole point to me being that, like what you were saying, once we understand, there's nothing to forgive. When we understand the other
Exactly.
person's perspective, then
Exactly.
there's nothing to forgive.
Exactly.
Forgiveness
It becomes
is
irrelevant.
part
Right.
of the equation.
Right.
And so it was really interesting. And there's been multiple things that have come up in a similar fashion,
Wow.
which has
Wow.
been really interesting.
So if I hear you fully here, you're saying because of the awareness, you are now seeing iterations or instances, examples of your uncapital, you understanding now coming back at you.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah,
This is the magic of attention.
it is. It's really fascinating. Yeah,
Absolutely
really
incredible.
fascinating.
Absolutely incredible.
So, yeah,
Absolutely incredible. Yeah.
that's been really interesting. I've continued to think a lot about that concept
Yes.
and what was I just watching? What was I just watching? That was saying something about not excusing someone else's. Oh, I know what it was. This was another really interesting thing that I came across since I talked to you last. I was watching. What was I watching? Oh, I was watching a guitar tutorial on YouTube for my guitar lesson. And, YouTube will like start auto playing videos
Yeah,
after you get
yeah,
done with
yeah,
them.
yeah.
I had this up and I had been watching it for my lesson and I was starting to put my things away and it starts auto playing this next video. And I wasn't paying attention at first. And then I started listening. I was like, wow, this is really fascinating. And I'm trying to remember the guy's name now. It was a talk from, I think, a couple years ago by a guy I had never heard of before. And let me find it. I'll have to send it to you because it was
Love it.
fascinating and I've watched it several times now. Here we go. Okay, but will you tell me who it is? No. Okay. Alain de Botton is the guy's name. And this video is from a talk that he gave in London in 2017. And the title of the clip is Why You Will Marry the Wrong Person.
Oh, I've seen this, I think.
Yeah, he goes
Or
into
at
this
least it sounds familiar.
really, really interesting
I,
discussion.
I don't watch a lot of videos, but at least that, I may have seen a post about
Yeah.
this. Yeah, yeah.
He goes into this really interesting discussion about love and what we think love is and how we go about navigating all this different stuff, and it's really interesting. And there's a lot of things in it that remind me of what we have talked about with the sort of societal focus on love as
Yeah.
this kind of like very unrealistic, sort of obsessive, weird
Yes.
thing. And that basically, without awareness, love can be really difficult.
Exactly.
And
Yes. Disastrous. Disastrous.
yeah, and he basically says that. And he said something. Well, I remember one of the things he said was something along the lines of, we are told, especially when it comes to love, to just follow our intuition, follow our feelings, just lean into your feelings. And he said, no, if you spend your entire life following your feelings, you're going to get yourself into a mess of trouble.
Oh, hell
And
yes.
he
Oh, hell
said,
no.
he asked the audience, how many of you think that it's possible to think too much about your emotions? And a couple people raised their hands, and he said, No, I'm telling you right now, there is no such thing as thinking too much about your
Exactly. This overthinking is a big myth. It's like
right,
forgiveness. It's a
right.
oxymoron. Yeah.
And he basically was saying that, we need to think about our emotions rather than just
Exactly.
be
Exactly.
victims of our emotions.
Exactly. Exactly. Your
And
emotions come from your primitive self, for
right,
Christ's sake.
right. And
Yeah.
he actually uses the term nobility at one point, which I thought was really interesting. He said
Wow.
something about love in terms of compromise. And it's a super, super interesting talk. I'll send it to you on in Messenger. It's a
Good.
really interesting discussion. But um, he says something about compromise in love being a
Sorry, say
very
something about what?
about compromise when it comes to love
Oh, right. Right.
being a very noble thing.
Yes. Yes.
And he says
Yes.
something like, people say things like, oh, they're only staying together because of the kids. And he said, no, that's a great reason to stay together. That's a very noble reason
Yes.
to
Yes.
stay with someone
Yes.
if you're doing that,
Right.
because even if you two
Right.
don't have this like fiery, passionate
Right.
relationship, if you're
Right.
staying
Right.
because of the kids, that's a
Use it
noble
as a
reason to stay.
binding agent,
Right.
exactly. So,
Yeah, it was
dominant.
really fascinating. But all of that to say, that guy, because I saw this video, I subscribed to his channel, which is called The School of Life. And so I got a notification, I think this morning, for a video that was it was titled something like how to love other people more or something, but it really reminded me of the forgiveness discussion because it was talking about, again, kind of coming to a point of understanding for why people do really shitty things. And he basically was saying, and this wasn't him. I think his channel, he started this channel, but it's this conglomerate of a bunch of different, um, like psychologists, philosophers, different people. So he wasn't narrating this video, but the person that was narrating the video was saying, when we come to understand that people typically do bad things or hurtful things because of some pain, suffering, injury, whatever from their past,
Yes. Yes.
it does not mean that we excuse their behavior. We don't have to like what they're doing, but it does help us
Yeah.
understand the cause, and then we can determine what do we do with this. So it was really interesting. There were several things in that video that reminded me of the forgiveness
Wow.
discussion.
Wow. It's very powerful. The 2 points that jump for me here. One, the entire new nobility conceptuality, the noble ideal and everything that goes with it.
Mm-hmm.
All of it is a result of taking compassion and thinking it through to the end.
Mm-hmm. I like it.
So you really take compassion to its absolute maximum, not just to its end of compassion, but extrapolate it beyond.
Right,
You get
right,
the whole nobility ideal, right? So this is very powerful to really, really, really understand compassion. Same thing with capital diplomacy. Same point.
right.
Yes, that capital C consideration that we mentioned there. What is the difference between capital C consideration and compassion? It's kind of the same thing, yes?
Yeah, yeah,
So compassion is ridiculously potent when we really, really get into it.
yeah. Well, and he actually said, I forget exactly how he said it, but one of the things I loved, because I have thought this so many times, and I've said this to my mom. He said, who was he quoting? He quoted a philosopher or a psychologist or somebody, early on in this talk about why you'll marry the wrong person, um, as saying that they thought
Maybe it
the
was
most
Aristotle.
do what.
Maybe it was Aristotle.
Aristotle. No, it was someone. It was
No.
somebody from like the 50s.
Well, I think it's Aristotle. His wife is called Xantippe.
Oh,
And if you look up a Xantippe, It is a synonym for a really ridiculous Harridan and shrew and all this.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that's why I said you married the wrong person. Aristotle,
Yeah,
there you
yes,
go.
yeah,
Quote from a
that's
philosopher. I
true.
just put it
Yeah.
all together. So a little
No,
inside humor from Sol.
he said, I'm trying to remember what he was talking about where he got to this point because there was a larger point, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But anyway, he said he was quoting this person who said that they thought that the most dangerous person at the time, which I think it was in the 50s, for society was Walt Disney
Oh
because
yes.
Disney was responsible for creating this like incredibly unrealistic view of what love was supposed to
Yes.
be. And I'm
Yes.
like, man, I so agree. I love
Yes.
Disney movies
Yes.
and there's so many awesome
Yes.
things about Disney
But the
movies. But
philosophy of Disney is terrible.
yes, and I think it's so true that especially the audience for Disney stuff to have that be ground into your brain at
Exactly.
such a young age that
Exactly.
this is what true love, is
Exactly.
supposed to be like is
Exactly.
really detrimental. And
Oh, it's terrible. Oh, absolutely.
and so
I agree. I agree.
he was talking about that and he said he defined love as I'm trying to remember exactly how he said it. It was something like the ability or the desire to look past the surface of someone's actions and see the moreness that
Exactly.
exists in a person
Exactly.
beyond the surface level
Behavior.
actions.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
I was like, man, yeah, I love that. And I really agree. And in my quest for defining love for myself, that's something
Yeah.
I keep coming back to is that it has to do with seeing moreness and wanting to see the moreness in somebody else
Yeah.
or something else.
Right.
Um, but yeah, it's a really, really interesting
Very
talk.
cool. Very cool. All right. Let's take that. If you once you understand there's nothing to forgive, yeah,
Yes,
flip it around. And I'm just going to add this to my quote file here now. Once you understand there's everything to love.
I like it.
So to me, I can pretty much love anybody. All I got
Right.
to do is just fully understand them, right?
Right. Well, and that was where I was going with that whole
Exactly. That's
story
why you pulled it out of me now, right?
you're
Exactly.
saying about compassion. That to
Right.
me, what he was saying about love is that it's very similar to compassion, like
Exactly.
real capital C
Exactly.
compassion. That
Exactly.
when
Exactly.
you look beyond, when you
Exactly.
seek to understand,
Right.
you are looking beyond the surface level
Exactly.
behavior.
Exactly.
And that
Exactly.
is that is real compassion when
Right.
you when
Exactly.
you have
Exactly.
when you are willing to
Exactly.
expend the
Yeah.
energy to do
Yeah.
that. That's true compassion.
And then you can understand and not necessarily love because I understand that you're a craphead.
Right.
But
Right.
but now we start to do something extra. But I'm going to choose to love you regardless. That's nobility
Yes.
because you're doing bonus.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
very powerful.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to pull something. So if I do a real super takeaway of our session, what I come from as a conception is appropriate medium, right?
Okay.
Appropriate dash medium. So wow. So how do you get there? Right. I'm being a little bit intentionally obtuse here. I'm channeling a bit of Biella because she likes to do this, right? And now you work backwards.
Right.
So if I from everything that you've shared, right, this is what is my takeaway. Appropriate medium. In other words, the necessity for appropriate medium.
Okay.
In other words, the necessity for appropriate medium for who?
Mm.
Who are we talking about? Who's the subject of our session? Who's the key focus and the intent and interest?
Hedgy.
Fuck, in other words, Erica Jayne, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's who all my attention is on. That's why I was making all those faces because
Right.
it's just it can never be us. It's always someone else, right?
Right. Right.
Right. So, right. So in other words, this is it. So it is about appropriate medium for Erica Jayne.
Mm.
That's what I take out of this because every single person that you've shared to me, right? And when I look at people around me, right, who you're looking at, who are sharing stuff and who I have influence and who are you reading or you enjoying, right? In other words, if you look at the thematic connectivity of all
Mm-hmm.
of your drawings, they have an abstract theme. These are all people who are sharing in some way, correct?
Absolutely.
They are sharing moreness in some way.
Yes, absolutely.
The other abstract theme, right? Again, see what I'm pulling out here. I'm pulling the commonality, the pattern is they've all found appropriate medium.
Yes, that is
See
true.
how it all works now?
Yes. That is true.
But it's appropriate medium for Erica.
Right. Right.
I want to say something absolutely categorical that I will state as a fact. You have more to share than pretty much anybody I've ever known.
Wow. Well,
Yeah, I mean, look at Disney, right? Who thinks of Disney as a philosopher?
mm,
Nobody, but yet he was. And
was.
that's why he was dangerous because, I mean, he was a seditionist without trying to be one. He
Yes.
was a corrupter without trying to be one, right?
Yes. Yes.
I mean,
Absolutely.
totally screwed up so many things.
Absolutely.
Now, but yet he's massively influential, right? What did he really have to offer except his drawing style?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
He actually offered crappiness, really. Yes.
Right.
This is quite amazing. So now, when I look at you and all of the things that you know, that you're aware of, your discernments, your layeredness, all of this, yes, those are wonderful, and you could be a phenomenal philosopher that will put to shame, Socrates and Plato and all of these guys. I'm really serious. I'm very, very serious here, because they only have a woo factor because of reputation.
Right. Right.
For me, I always never, ever did that mean anything to me.
Mm-hmm.
Plato or Joe on the corner, they were equivalent to me. It's what they said, not who they were. Right. So I always evaluated things in their abstract like, oh, seriously, right? As a good exercise, by the way, one day Google stupid things said by famous people.
Yes, you've said that before.
This
Yeah.
is really worthwhile. It
Yeah.
changes your whole perspective on everything. I mean, you
Yeah.
see things that Gandhi said, and it's like, holy moly.
Yeah.
The Dalai Lama. I mean, oh, geez, really. I mean, his ideas on women and I don't know, it's terrible. So it's not that it's misogynist, but it's just messed up.
Right. Right.
So again, you see a complete collapse of their thinking. So it's like, dude, you may have said some cool stuff, but you as a person, I don't have much time for you. Sorry.
Right. Right.
So
That
whereas, oh, go ahead, go ahead.
that reminds me, just as a short aside, I saw a post from Deepak Chopra on
Right.
Instagram that said it was they were quoting them, or it was their quote, and it said, once I realized that Deepak Chopra was a character, I stopped taking them so seriously.
Exactly. And that's Bina's objection to
I
him. Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Bina absolutely does not like him. She
Yeah.
says, look, he's got a lot of useful stuff to say, but he's acting all the time. This really
Right.
bothers her.
But I
Yeah.
think I think that's such a fascinating concept to see all of these philosophers and
Yes.
people as characters
Exactly.
rather
Exactly.
than
Exactly.
this. Yeah,
Exactly.
it's so
There
fascinating.
are few of us who are not characters.
Right.
This
Right.
is a rarity. This is a rarity. And it's one of the things that I so absolutely love about Zoom is
Mhm.
that there is no characters. You
Right.
get to really be you.
Yeah.
Plus, that you can change.
Yes, absolutely.
This is absolutely ridiculously pressure. In the Clara's class stories, that school, a class, part of the culture is that it's just accepted that, oh, today you being Superman, the next tomorrow you being Spider-Man, tomorrow you being, I don't know, Mr. Serious or whatever. That experimenting with different ways of being is completely natural and normal.
Right. Right.
You never, if somebody's the same all the time, you'd like, oh, what the hell's going on here?
Mm-hmm.
Not when they come and they suddenly they all in our way of coming up, if somebody were to be a different person, it's like, what's going on with you? Like, why are you being weird? Right?
Right.
Wouldn't that have been the thing? But
Right.
so this is very important to be able to shift. So, but my point is that, you know, um, like you said, it's about connecting to the moreness that's already
Mm.
there. Yes, of course, you've learned a tremendous amount of stuff, but that ability to learn, this is a precious thing. The ability to understand, the ability to connect, the ability to discern, the ability to then re-express, that's in a different category altogether.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so. I'm trying to say now. To me, the issue for Erica Jayne is not finding the passion, but
Right.
finding the appropriate medium.
I agree. I
See?
agree.
And to me, your drawings now, this is about exploring appropriate medium.
I like
Like
that.
your goofy videos, that's exploring
Yes.
appropriate medium.
Medium.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
true.
But I do feel that where you're going now to essentially do something similar to Manka, but in your own style
Right.
and with this intent, that's why I so recommend. I said before, never ever I'd had the idea of you doing a TED talk for a long time, but I never could find the thing to say. There you go. That's it. And when you said that, this idea of sharing your profoundness, being your insights, your moreness, your what did you call it?
The fractal
The
conception.
fractal conceptions that are instrumental to changing your life. To share this with all of yourselves, not just one particular, your entire preceding line,
Right.
but particularly the child self, the whole range of child. Because look,
Yeah.
like Hedgi, this can be a very big range of ages.
Right.
This I feel is unbelievably potent. And what
Mhm.
like I said, you'll have a lifetime's worth of work involved in this.
I
You'll
agree.
never be without inspiration, not work. I shouldn't call it work. Without inspiration and moreness. You've got so much material for this. It's never ending, never ending.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is to me, finding that I don't necessarily say it. I'm just saying, when we look at this in the commonality of what you shared today, all of those people found their appropriate medium. Yes,
Yeah.
at least
Yes.
until now. Yeah, and this is I feel that for you too. But just don't sell yourself short, is what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
That you have as much to contribute as those people, and I feel even more.
Wow. I appreciate
To
that.
me personally. But again, it's all relative. Yeah. I mean, I might be biased, but certainly there's absolutely no doubt that you have, plenty to contribute in a sharing context. Yes, because they're all sharing. That's the other
Right.
thing that's common, right?
Yes.
They're all sharing. They're not telling, and this is absolutely, absolutely critical. We're going to get more into it when we continue doing the hearing and helping.
Yes.
The whys behind sharing.
Yes.
But boy, and you really start like all you've got to do is really do what we do, right? But just find a medium in which you can do takeaways on like when you come on Zoom and you're giving me takeaways of what's
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah.
I'm spellbound. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. So, I mean,
Well,
look, just if you were to, for instance, if you'd done a video today on saying, "Hey, here's my process of drawing," and you go into the nuance and say, "Look, I did the iteration and I learned so quickly," and blah blah blah. This is powerful stuff. Yeah.
yeah, it
Yeah,
is.
I mean, again, we tend to devalue our own value because it's dear to us,
Right. Right.
right? So if I can, share something that's really potent here, it's, be aware that what's dear to you is not dear to others,
Right.
and that's what you're looking to do. You're taking the things that have become a dear to you,
Right.
and you realize that in their current iteration, they are not a dear to past self,
Yes.
especially to
Absolutely.
single digit self, right?
Yes.
So now you are looking to take your DERs and make them DERs for single digit self.
Yes.
This, I've thought about this so often, and it's where the whole, making the obvious obvious comes from, is the
Hmm.
understanding that there's a deeper part of us that needs to click. Otherwise,
Yes.
there's no change.
Yes.
There's no change.
Absolutely.
By the way, scolding your knucklehead, lowest common denominator self is very powerful.
Mm. I like it.
I've been since I started the dreaming thing. I've been very disciplined, and only time I missed writing them down was when the computer wasn't working.
Right.
When it went all haywire. So, and I'm like, seriously, dude, come on, you're just dreaming the same old bloody nonsense. So at some point I got irritated, and then it shifted,
Mm,
right? So I don't know. For maybe that's the only reason, only way my inner knucklehead,
right.
lowest common
Right.
denominator. So what was it? Lowest common denominator self. What would that be in acronyms? LDS. LDS. There we go.
Lowest common self.
Lowest denominator self.
Oh, lowest denominator self. Okay.
Yeah. Otherwise, it'd be LCDM, LCDS. That's too
Yeah.
long. You need three. So LDS. Yeah, lowest denominator self. That's wrong. Doesn't have to be common. It's just lowest denominator. It doesn't have to be common, right? So
Right.
LDS. Anyway, so when it comes to my LDS, and again too, last night I had another breakthrough. So I'm like having dreams, and it's they kind of fragmented, and I remember them, but I'm having trouble remembering them even 2 minutes after I've made a mental note to remember
Yes.
them. Right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, come on, seriously, really, I'm really getting irritated with this. So, uh, because that happened in my first when I woke up and remembered the dream, because before I could do that and I would remember all my dreams, but then that
Mm,
went away. Like, no, no. So I said, well, look, this has got to change. I need evolution. So the dream I had on waking up, I went into the dream. I came out, and I thought I was waking up, but I wasn't actually. I was actually still sleeping. So I
wow.
went in the dream and came out. Went in the dream and came out, and this kept going for a whole bunch of times. Like I just basically sort of resumed the dream, and this was very cool. So I was aware that I was dreaming,
Right.
which is an upgrade, right? I'm not aware that I'm aware in the dream, which is
Right.
different. And I'm
Right.
aware that I'm dreaming
Right.
because I'm going in. Oh, this is kind of cool, right? I'm not thinking this is a dream. I'm just,
Right.
but
Right.
still, I'm still aware, kind of, that it's a dream.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was very very interesting. I was in a house that was basically in the comfort space, where people hang out of prostitutes.
Mm,
And because I often, when prostitutes come in movies, I often think, what is their psychology like from the inside?
right. Right.
And I've never interacted with any really that are still currently doing it,
Right.
so I never got a chance to. I've never had the opportunity to explore their psychology and question them and all this. So in my dream, well, I helped them, and I don't know, I helped them choose something, or I don't know, whatever.
Right.
I'm not management, but I'm not a customer either, so I don't know what the hell I am. But that's
Right.
that's very common in my dreams, that I'm just sort of there doing stuff.
Yeah.
But I got to so they were sitting on a couch, a couple of them, and the one prostitute, kind of more sophisticated, a little older. There was a younger one, a little bigger, and she was a bit more naive and a bit childish, and they were into fooling around and playing. And so I'm watching her face, like, what do you think? How's it for you? And I'm like, wow, for you, this is like, hey, it's like any other job, and some parts of it you like and some parts you don't, but on the
Right.
whole, you're actually more content and more happy than most people with their jobs. So,
Right.
okay. And then, I always thought about this too, just since we're on the topic a little bit, that in the right context, this could be, a public service job, that,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
that a noble job, even, that you're really
Right.
making people's lives happy. I don't know, it take a lot for me to, but hey, if you can do that, like, these prostitutes that sleep with these guys that never otherwise would get laid. It's like, wow, you can really do that. I
Right.
admire you for
Right.
your
Right.
ability to set aside your personal prejudices.
Right.
This is truly something. Anyway, so different perspective. I'll write it into the new nobility, into the agglomeration story at some point. Completely to shift the perspective, where there they are, like kind of a PSA in actuality.
Right.
But anyway, sorry, I digress too much here. I was making the point though about, in terms of our subconscious, I think we do need to put a bit of intent pressure. And for me, that comes via that sort of irritation and annoyance. Like,
Right.
seriously, now, come on, enough of this nonsense. And
Right.
then it probably hears me because it knows I'm serious now.
Yeah. Yeah. I like it.
That's pretty powerful. But anyway, to come back to appropriate medium, I am so looking forward to when you find the appropriate medium where you get to share your fullness, because there's so much to share, so much to
I
share.
appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, truly, it's very hard to see that in ourselves. So it's that's why I'm emphasizing this so much. Yeah,
Yeah. I
because again, it's dirt to you, but man, it's not dirt to others. Yeah.
Right. Right. I
So
appreciate
very
it. I
cool. This is
appreciate it
very
very
cool.
much.
This is very cool. Again, at some point we can do some more Facebook lives. They're very weak in terms of, we don't get many people attending.
Right.
But if one is, because we give up, I'm the culprit here. I do a few and then I give up. But if
Right.
one is really persistent on this, it'll probably take, I would estimate from previous experience, probably estimate 3 to 4 months before you start building something.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
in doing this consistently now. But for the practice, if nothing else, it's very powerful.
Yeah.
But where we can come and do all sorts of different things. So, yeah,
I
it's up
like
to
it.
you though. I've been very cautious in terms of offering this because I don't want to influence your
Right.
choice.
Right. Right. I appreciate it.
But appropriate medium. So
I
I'm
like
looking forward to more drawings. I'm so looking forward to them. I mean, feel free to snap it real quickly and share on Messenger
Okay.
anytime. I
Okay.
love that. Just the constancy of the share. But then also the Hedgie pictures. But those, you can't just snap casually. I mean, I'm hoping you get it nice and neat. With it just it's contained. This. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to doing that, to add that to this. I've been waiting
I,
so long, Erica. I wrote that story, I don't know how many years ago.
yeah. Well, I will try to
The
finish.
first person of a zillion who've promised to send me an illustration. First one. First one, Erica. First one.
And the ones you got were that.
Oh, but they're magical. They're magical. They're magical. So I'm going to put them in the story and not say who drew them.
Okay. I like
Yes,
it.
yes, yes.
I
And
like
and
it.
then I will try and save some reactions, so that you can see how people react to it, right?
Okay.
And then you're going to see the joy that comes from it, and you'll see it's the magic of it.
I
Yeah.
like it. I like it. Okay.
I
And
mean,
I
and,
will.
and I'm going to be merciless with Bina because she's been promising me these for.
Oh, nice. Okay. I need to finish the rest of the book. So I'll finish the rest of them
Oh,
and
no,
I'll
no, no, you don't need to. I mean, I don't want to put pressure on you. If you want to, absolutely. But what you have so far, that's enough.
well, okay.
I mean, if you want to do more, that's great. But please, I mean, what you have now is more than enough.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
if you do more, that'd be great. But no, certainly don't no need to do it all. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I love it. I love it. I love it. Ah, such magical stuff.
Yeah.
Appropriate
Me too.
medium. Yes, appropriate
Okay.
medium.
I
Yeah.
will, yes, I like that. I will think on that.
Because yeah, sorry. The other point I wanted to make, right? We started with about passion.
Mm,
Yes, about people finding their passion, and you look, and
right.
you've had lots of things in the ADHD and all this stuff. That's to me not the issue. It's the appropriate medium that's the issue. You
Hmm.
have a passion to share in the story. You have a passion to do good. You have a passion to bring moreness into the world, right? Those are very yes.
Right.
I mean, your
Right.
passion to do good and to share. It's
Right.
the appropriate medium that's the issue, not the passion. Yes.
Yeah, I agree. I
Does that
agree.
make sense?
It does.
Yeah, yeah, I like that because I think of this all the time. And today I feel that there's significant progress on this issue, which, like I said, I spent inordinate amounts of time thinking about, and
Yep.
we're thinking in the wrong direction. So that's
Right.
obviously,
Right.
again, when you're not getting somewhere, shift the paradigm,
Yes.
shift the context. So
Absolutely.
this is shifting it. Yes,
I agree. I
very
agree.
exciting, Erica. Very exciting. Very
Yay.
exciting.
Yay. Awesome.
Yes,
All right.
absolutely. Yes, yeah,
I'm
yeah, and
gonna go get
awesome. All right,
something
bye
to
bye,
eat.
Erica. Bye
So
bye, bye bye, bye bye.
thank you so much. I will send you the Hedgie pictures
Yes,
and
thank you, thank you. Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait.
we'll
I
see
can't
what
wait.
else comes up.
Those edgy pictures give me joy.
Oh,
I
good. I'm
would
glad.
say
I'm
joy. They
glad.
really do. They just that's what I want in the story. That joy. Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
glad. I'm
Did
glad.
you, by the way, read the end of the story?
No, I was going
Oh, oh,
trying.
oh,
I was
oh,
going.
oh, 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 wow. Okay. Well, there's a part, author's notes at the end where
Okay.
I give some discernments on my how the character of Hedgie, and that might
Okay.
help your drawing because it's basically I'm explaining the tropes involved, really.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you don't have to get to the end of the story, but do read the author's note. Yeah.
Okay, I will do that. All right.
Okay. Brilliant.
Okay,
Brilliant.
awesome. All
Love you,
right.
Erica. So
Thank you,
magical. So
Phil.
magical. So magical.
I'll
Bye.
talk with you soon.
Bye. Yes. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.